If you have been on social media lately, mostly TikTok, then you've come across this trend where women are asked whether they would rather be stuck in the woods with a bear or a man. With most of the women who are asked the question, the answer is pretty simple.
Rather be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
Bear. Men are scary.
With a bear.
What I've heard about bears, they don't always attack you, right? Unless you like fuck with them. So maybe a bear.
Depends what man, but probably a bear.
Oh, 100% a bear, which is like terrifying to say, but
definitely a bear. Some men are very scary out there.
A bear.
I would say a man.
I'll choose the bear. The reasoning behind the choice of a bear over a man is pretty simple. Misandry. Men are horrible, men are constantly doing horrible things to women, and as such, a woman in the woods is more afraid of being stuck with or meeting a man in the woods as compared to a bear. And yes, it is all men, until it is no man.
Realizing that myself and other women are saying bear because we would quite literally rather die. And then we have some people saying, well, not all bears, just because one bear did it doesn't mean that all bears would do it. You shouldn't be scared of all bears. Let's get a lineup of bears and you show me which one I should be fucking scared of. In this Target right now, you point out to me which men I should and should not be fucking scared of. Well, I don't know. Exactly. At least a bear wouldn't fucking show videos and photos and dap up their buddies after. At least a bear couldn't say the words, well, she liked it, she asked for it. A bear would probably leave you alone even after you were dead. To get most bears to leave you alone, all you have to do is scream loud enough. Can't say the same. Women are asking their guy best friends, their boyfriends, their husbands, their fucking fathers, and they're all saying the same thing. Why do you think that is? Bears don't grasp the concept of wrong and right, but you know who does. At least a bear didn't pretend to be your friend for months beforehand just to get what it wanted in the end.
Some creators have even pulled statistics in justifying why it makes more sense, from a survival and a safety standpoint, for women to unanimously choose the bear over the men.
On TikTok right now, women are responding to the question, would you rather encounter a bear or a man while alone in the woods? And most women are saying that they would rather encounter a bear, because they believe they are safer in the presence of a bear. The 750,000 black bears in North America unalive less than one person per year on average. Men aged 18 to 24 are 167 times more likely to unalive someone. And the big thing here is that it's not just unaliving someone. According to RAINN, 1 out of 6 American women has been the victim of attempted or completed assault in her lifetime. Over half of women have reported experiencing, and only about 6% of men who commit assault against a woman ever spend a day in jail. So yeah, women are much more likely to be attacked by a man than a bear. And the worst thing a bear can do is unalive you. We need to work harder as a society to make women feel safer by creating a culture of believing and supporting our survivors.
Interestingly, some men jump onto the female bandwagon and are also part of those bringing men down. These men seem to understand the plight of women in a manner in which the rest who are offended by the women choosing the bear don't, and as such, they try explain to their counterpart.
I've seen a bunch of stitches about this comment. I've actually not seen this comment, but everyone that doesn't get it blows my mind. The woman that I stitched makes the incredibly valid and reasonable point that an animal is predictable and you are able to reason with it. I go out in the woods a lot. I go out in national parks. I go out into like completely wild, untouched areas looking for animals because that's my hobby. Of course, a gecko's calling. Now, I've seen bears. I've seen bears way too close for my comfort. I've seen wild cats. I've seen wild cats way too close for my comfort. I saw a wild cat so close one time, I literally thought, this is going to hurt. Now, thankfully, nothing happened, but it was way too close. There's nothing I can do in that situation to defeat that animal, but I can bluff, I can posture, I can bang, I can get as big as possible, and there will be a logical reaction because predators don't want to risk getting injured, so they go, I'll take the next one. The scariest moment I have ever had in the middle of nowhere where no one could protect me was in the woods in the Southwest. I was in a forest. I was walking. It was me and a couple buddies, and we split to go like kind of around a different area. And I was solo, and I saw this dude. And I saw this dude after this dude saw me. And this dude was following me. And I don't know if this dude was following me because I was near his property line, or what? I was more scared when I saw that dude than I was when I saw a bear, when I saw a cat, when I have stumbled upon a dangerous animal that was this close to me because I missed it until it was this close to me. Never have I been like, this is the time that I might die, as I was in that moment. Never. Never. Now, I looked at that dude, he looked at me, I kept walking, he kept walking, we kind of paralleled each other for a while, and then I split back off to my friends, but I made sure that man knew I had a gun on me. That man got the ye old, and he did not stop flanking me, which was terrifying because he knew what the bang bang was, and he didn't care. Never have I been so freaked out. I have called my wife and been like, whoo, you won't believe how close I got to this dangerous animal or that dangerous animal. Or, whoo, we rounded the corner and we saw a big mammal and just went boop, 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 back around the corner. That dude, I was like, that shit was scary. And obviously, I have way less reasons to be scary than the topic of this video. Yeah, a man in the woods, the most terrifying predator in the woods.
From this trend, it's safe to conclude that women are wary of all men. Forget about the fact that only a very small proportion of men are actually involved in any criminal activity at any given point in their lives, let alone violent crime. Interestingly, violent crime is a male issue. Women only outnumber men in sex-related crimes, that is, sexual assault and rape, with men being disproportionately affected by assault, aggravated assault, robbery, and homicide. Men are responsible for most violent crime, with most violent crime victims being men. For instance, when men and women kill, they prefer killing men to women. From a statistical standpoint, it makes sense for both men and women to pick the bear over a stranger in the woods. Consider the fact that men are more susceptible to crime by a stranger compared to women, which means that women's claim of being more afraid of walking in the streets compared to men is purely based on misandry and feminist propaganda. Anyway, back to the man versus bear trend, and women being wary of dangerous men. There's something interesting that was brought up by one creator, which is the subject of this video.
Too much. This hypothetical question about this bear versus man in the forest is about to get a lot of y'all feelings hurt. Some of y'all women, you're doing too much. You are the bear in the forest. You need to be scared of yourself. At the end of the day, a lot of y'all are running around acting like you so scared of men, acting as if you fear for your life on a day-to-day basis. Girl, men don't even pay you no mind on a day-to-day basis. You go to the mall, they ignore you. You go to the store, they ignore you. You go to the club and the lounges with your homegirls and they talk to everybody but you. Men ain't worried about you. You could be in the forest with a bear and a man and you got a better chance of the bear wanting to smash. It's almost comical listening to a group of women who invite strangers from dating apps to their house to smash on the first day are scared of men. I can't tell the way y'all be getting pregnant by strangers. Men who last names you don't even know. Men who mama you don't meet until the baby shower. I can't tell you scared of these men. Not the way you be out here giving out your address so freely and letting them come over there and Netflix and chill. The way you be going over their house when you don't even know them. Jeffrey Dahmer would have a field day with this generation and somehow y'all scared of men. You scared to be in a forest with a man? Be for real. Y'all are comical. Nobody even takes you serious at this point because you're a joke. Every time you get on this internet and open up your mouth, it's a contradiction and you're a joke.
For a normal human being, it is often the case that you would understand where most of these women come from, until they start contradicting themselves. It's always easy to point an accusing finger on men calling them all sorts of names until we get to this guy, Wade Wilson. You see, this guy is a serial criminal, with these crimes being spread out the 2010s before he was finally arrested in 2019. The arrest that led to the current case in question.
Wade Wilson has an extensive criminal history. Records show since 2010 he's been arrested more than 20 times throughout the state of Florida with charges like burglary and trespassing, also fraud and assault. He's even spent time here in the Palm Beach County Jail.
He called me the day he got out of jail recently.
Kelly Matthews last spoke to Wade Wilson in August of this year after he was arrested in July for sexual battery and abuse towards another girlfriend at the time. Those charges were later dropped after Wilson spent a month in jail. Earlier this week, investigators arrested the 25-year-old yet again in Southwest Florida, this time for burglary and battery. Matthews says she isn't surprised.
He was arrested for robbing me. In December, he robbed me and took off with a friend of mine to Texas. So they went after him for that, and he got probation.
Then 2 months later, she says things got much worse. She claims he kidnapped her, took her to the Keys, and sexually assaulted her.
I thought he was going to kill me that night.
Matthews says she's been in contact with Wilson's dad since learning that he could have a connection to 2 homicides in Cape Coral. Friday, Cape Coral police in the disappearance and death of Diane Ruiz and Christine Melton.
The man accused of murdering 2 women in Cape Coral just tried to escape from jail, but Wade Wilson didn't get too far.
Wilson is accused of 2 brutal murders in Cape Coral. Almost a year ago to the day, police say Wilson went on a drug-fueled killing spree, murdering 2 women in 48 hours. Christine Melton on the left and Diane Ruiz closest to me. Tonight, Wilson, along with his cellmate Joseph Katz, are even more trouble. Reports say they tried to smash through a window and break out of jail.
The attempt to flee his prison cell comes almost 1 year exactly after Melton and Ruiz were found dead. Diane's boyfriend can vividly remember.
October 7th was the day he killed her and she became missing. So I'm not looking forward to that day.
Ruiz was found dead in a field in northwest Cape Coral. Melton found dead inside of her home. As family and friends continue to grieve the loss of Melton and Ruiz, they're relieved to know Wade Wilson will be sleeping right where he woke up, behind bars.
He should be locked.
Then he sought an interview with NBC2 News by constantly writing letters over 6 months. In this interview, he maintains his innocence, while exposing a plot of being hired to murder some baby mama for another inmate to get their assault and battery charges dropped.
This man, Wade Wilson, is accused of brutally murdering 2 Cape Coral women, Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz. He's been in jail since 2019 awaiting trial. And recently, he sent us dozens of letters with some wild accusations.
These are all the letters Wade Wilson has written to NBC2 over the last 6 months. He really wanted to talk with us. I know what you're thinking. Why would we listen to a man accused of some pretty heinous crimes? A man with a long rap sheet at that. Well, we found out he may be involved in even more than we once realized. Wade Wilson had a lot to say in his first and only on-camera interview murder charges more than 3 years ago. And I had a lot of questions. Did you kill Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
No surprise there, considering he pleaded not guilty. He seemed confident, even smug at times while sporting his orange jumpsuit and new face tattoos.
I'm not a monster. Yeah, I'm not a saint either by any means. I've made bad decisions in the past, of course.
While Wilson is accused of taking 2 lives, he claims to have tipped off investigators about a plot to kill another woman while behind bars. According to an arrest report late last year, Tristan Gendron asked Wilson to help kill the mother of his child, so his domestic abuse charges would be dropped. Wilson couldn't do it himself. He was in jail. But Gendron asked if his crew on the...
He just thought that I was the person to ask for that.
This is a copy of the note Gendron wrote Wilson in jail with details of the hit job. It came with a $200,000 payout. Gendron said the money was in a safe at Gendron's funeral and cremation services in Fort Myers.
People would accept $10,000, $200,000, surely, but I'm not that type of person.
Instead, he reported it to the state attorney's office and became a sworn witness.
I don't know her personally whatsoever from a can of paint, but it doesn't matter. She's a person.
Investigators later found out there was a safe at the funeral home with cash inside, and those security codes in the note were accurate.
It doesn't worry me. It worries me only because of the level of corruption around here in Fort Myers that I was involved with.
We learned some of that evidence may include a confession, which Wilson says he was forced to make after he was charged.
When coming to jail, I knew that I had to get something out there as far as a confession because I was told to do that. Otherwise, my parents were going to be harmed. My children were going to be harmed.
Wilson's own father spoke on the record. He He told investigators Wilson called him after spending the night with Christine Melton, asking for help. She was a server at a Cape Coral bar. Wilson's father said his son admitted to strangling Melton while she was sleeping and then rolled her up in a carpet. Wilson admits he met Melton at a bar the night before she was found dead and slept at her house, but claims she was alive when he told his dad he then picked up a lady, asked for directions, then choked her and ran her over so many times he made her look like spaghetti.
I was forced. That wasn't a call that I willingly wanted to make.
Investigators say that other woman was mother of two, Diane Ruiz.
But as far as Diane Ruiz, I never ran across her, never seen her, and there's nothing that will say otherwise than that.
Wilson only briefly mentions Ruiz and Melton in his letters, never giving these women the dignity of saying their names, just that he was set up. He talks more often about a high-profile case of another Cape Coral woman, Lauren DeMolo, who hasn't been seen since June of 2020. Wilson admits he is trying to save his life, but it will be up to a jury to figure out fact from fiction.
And he maintained his innocence as it pertains to the murders of the two women even before the case went to trial.
Are you guilty of those murders? Did you commit those murders concerning Christine Melton and Diane Ruiz?
No, ma'am, I did not commit these murders, and I'm innocent. I did not, no, ma'am. To let everybody know, I did leave the Buddha with Kristen, okay? I left with Kristen, and it was me, it was Kristen, it was one of her friends, Kristen's friends, who I don't know the name of. I'm not sure what her name is. And also another individual, which was a guy that was at the Buddha as well. He was there. He came with us, so we all left. Me and Mila have a 2016 Dodge Hellcat, and we all left in the Hellcat, and we went to and the guy that I'm telling you about, I don't know his name. I'm not sure who he was. He was an individual met at the Buddha, and but we went to his house first. And again, me and Kristen were continuing to be intimate together. And this went on for, I don't know, me and her together maybe an hour.
So I just want to confirm with you, the last time you saw Christine Melton, she was alive.
Correct, she was, yes ma'am. And this was around, like I said, when I left her house, this was around either 5 or 6, one of the two. I'm not entirely sure, but it was early morning, definitely.
To ask, Mila said that when you met up with her in Christine's car, that there was a physical altercation, that you beat her. Are you going to tell us any more about that? Can you confirm that? Are you going to admit to that?
I don't want to talk about that at the moment. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. I can tell you this much. I didn't beat her. I can tell you that. So 4 or 5 months ago, Mila, she pressed charges against me, saying the same thing that I guess she's saying now. And just to let you know, actually 4 or 5 months ago, she went to the state attorney's office and she filed to dismiss the charges because they were untrue.
Yeah, why did you have Christine's phone with you when you left to go find your car?
The reason that I had her phone was because, first of all, she said I could take it. That was the first thing. She didn't mind. I could take her car. I could take her phone. Because I needed to call Mila, because Mila wasn't, it's the spa that we meet up at, and she was not there, obviously, and so I had to be able to call her to talk to her, ask her where she was, can we meet up at the spa, and I don't have my own phone. I don't actually have a phone, so that was the reason behind that.
Gotcha. Confirm something at the end there. Sure. So you were able to find our house. Did you just return the car and leave the phone inside and walk away? How did that work out?
I was unable to find her house. I was not able to find it.
So what did you do with the car and her phone?
Well, I drove to, like I said, I'm not from here, so I'm unfamiliar with the territory. But I drove to a friend of mine's business, which I'm sure everyone knows about. I mean, you guys have been reporting it. Everyone's been talking about it. So it's nothing new. I mean, you already know, I went to his business and I sat there with the view. Obviously, you're saying, did I have anything to do with these two murders? Are they tragic? Yes, they are. did I have anything to do with them? No, it's not. And is it tragic that I'm sitting in jail and people honestly think that I'm a monster? Yes, it is. That's wrong. But so the second half of the story is I was driving around looking for Kristen's house. Okay, and so I'm driving around at this point in time around Cape Coral, and yes, I did run into Diane, and yes, I did meet her, and yes, I did see her, but I didn't have anything to do with her death. The only thing that had happened was with her death. For directions, trying to kind of like get a general view of where I was at, because now at this point I'm in Cape Coral looking for Kristen's house. I can't find her house. I know what it looks like. I vaguely know what the streets around it look like and the houses around it look like, but I don't know how to get there. But now I have another issue. You know, Mila is not answering the phone. She's mad at me. She's upset. She doesn't want to answer the phone. So I'm kind of stuck a little bit in Cape Coral, and can't. I could find my way back, but it was a problem. I was having trouble with directions, to say the least. And Diane, I asked her for directions, and she was trying to help me figure out where I was. First of all, asked her how to get back to Fort Myers, and just, you know, where I'm at. She helped me out with the directions, and then she actually asked me for a ride. She was going to work, I believe, and she had asked me for a ride. So I gave her a ride, and it was a short, it wasn't even far that I had given her a ride, maybe a 5-minute drive. And I dropped her off, and I believe that it was at a bus stop, so I believe that she was getting on the bus, and that was it.
So you dropped her off, and again, the last time you saw Diane Ruiz, she was alive as well?
Yes, she was alive. Yes, correct. Yes, ma'am.
Finally, he was found guilty of the 2 murders and sentenced to death.
We, the jury, find by a vote of 9-3 that Wade Wilson should be sentenced to death. As to count 4, first-degree murder, Diane Ruiz, we, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt the existence of aggravating factor. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. Yes. We, the jury, unanimously find that the state has established beyond a reasonable doubt that the first-degree murder was committed in a cold, calculated, and premeditated manner without any pretense of moral or legal justification. Yes. If 8 or more jurors vote for the death penalty, your recommendation must be for the death penalty. We, the jury, find by a vote of 10-2 that Wade Wilson should be sentenced to death.
Looking at some of the developments in the Wade Wilson case, it would make sense why women are afraid of men, and women are constantly choosing the bear over a strange man in the woods. It therefore becomes questionable what some of the women's take is as it pertains to this convicted serial killer. Simply put, women are gushing over this guy on the internet. This is what some of these women comments look like, and pay attention to the likes that the comments have. This one says they'll marry him when they grow up. This one says the husband wonders why the song in the background of the TikTok keeps playing. This one is talking about writing him fan mail and paying him some conjugal visits. This one is ashamed for the beautiful man for having done what he did. This one, after running to the comments, finds her peers with the same thinking. This one references those saying they could fix him. This one asks why the bad guys always be looking fine as hell. This one and peers watch the trial for the wrong reasons. This one referencing the whole man versus bear trend and women going reverse on their initial stance. This one going in why did you get in the van with the stranger. This one being glad she's not the only one having to call the therapist. Women be out here claiming that they're afraid of all men because they're dangerous. Until they come across a dangerous man, then these are the attitudes they hold. Sometimes you actually wonder what these women been smoking. When this creator said these women were walking contradictions, seems like she wasn't far off. These women claim to be so terrified of men that they would prefer being in the woods with a known killer animal, and yet still go ahead and gush over a serial killer. If you think that these comments are weird, wait till you realize that majority of women, at around 62%, have great fantasies, with the frequency of these fantasies being 4 times a year, or once a week for approximately 14% of the respondents involved in these studies.